Hey, what is up, guys? So Raven here, and let's talk comics. So today we're going to be talking about the Armageddon event that's coming to Marvel in June of 2026. As you see on the screen, witness the origin of the end. And I wanted to talk about it because to me it was quite, I'm not going to say shocking, but it was a bit insane that they've announced it for June. And I know they have almost every year a summer event, and I'm cool with that. But there are just so many events currently running, right? We have still, as of the time of the recording, One World Under Doom going on, right? I think we're missing the last issue. We have X-Men Age of Revelation. Just has started Ultimate Endgame, which is a 5 issue. And okay, yeah, you can say technically it kind of leads hopefully towards that. But we have currently running 3 big events that have tie-ins, right? That you're gonna have to go and purchase, and you already announced the next one, and they already started releasing because it is already in the Chip Zdarsky's Wolverine run that you're gonna have at the beginning, right, of the Armageddon, right, the prelude, and his Captain America. Sorry, he's writing Captain America, but they've done the Wolverine #1 and #2 already in solicitations. So I don't know, but I have this thing in my head that we are at the point of Marvel just throwing everything at the wall and just hoping that it sticks, or they're just gonna go and do blind bags so they can go and increase the sales, and artificially, because blind bags is an artificial thing that raises the sales because everyone is chasing this like rare variant that may not come. And I know I have this thing that when I saw this character that we have here, right, on the Witness of the Origin with the box, that we kind of know that this is the box that, if I remember correctly, Miles Morales had right when he was coming back to his home. It was like in incursion #5, right? And yeah, it's origin box. Yeah, there we go. I remember myself. Right, so he had those. There were like origin boxes, right? And he had one, and he came back as the end of that. But what can you do? What can you present to me, right, as a reader, that will redefine? Because this is what they say, right? That this is going to be an event that will redefine a landscape shifting crossover event, right? Redefine the comics for the next generation. It will, and I quote from the Marvel website, change the face of Earth's mightiest heroes in a way not seen since Avengers Disassembled, suggesting a generational shake-up, right, as we know. And do we need that? That is one question that I wanted to ask you guys. Do you think we need technically a reboot? Because that maybe it's where it leads, right? Because to me, and this is gonna be my honest, you can like shit on me, it's fine, but I honestly think we do not need a reboot of the characters. We don't need that. We need, let's oh, you know what, fuck it, I'm not sponsored by Marvel. So we need to do something with people in charge of Marvel. We need to allow creative teams to do things, right? Because this whole event, like, let's just take Spider-Man, because if you're reading right now the Ultimate Spider-Man, you're reading the Ultimates, and going to the Ultimate Endgame, you know that this is a lot of crossover, right? Especially with Spider-Man, Miles Morales. And at the end, whatever they're gonna do, let's say, this event is okay-ish, right? The Armageddon. It will not matter if we go back to Peter Parker being again 25, again sleeping on the couch of Aunt May, right? Or being in college, or, just living barely. Like, we've had that story so many times. This is like the status quo we always go back to, right? We had a really nice run where he had, his company, but they had to ruin it and go back to status quo because the new writer came. Like, why? I think, the Ultimate Spider-Man showed that we want, and again, the sales of that showed that we want maybe not even mature content, but we want progress. We want to see that progress, right? It, again, it kind of also shows in Batman, right? It's been 5 or 7 years now since Alfred got killed, and he's not coming back. Hopefully, in 10, 20 years, we're going to have another reboot, right? And it's going to come back. Now, in the new run, it doesn't. Great. But Absolute Batman shows that we want something else as well. And here, right, I'm reading Wolverine, and I think it's just the same old, same old. Uncanny X-Men, again, same old, same old. I don't know how can you go after the Armageddon, how can you just change stuff so much in the normal titles, right? And again, this is a great example. I don't want, let's just say, X-Men. I don't want them to be every single issue that I'm reading about how non-binary person is. I don't care. Give me a good story, but not make that a main point of the story, that this is a transgender person. I don't care. It can be even a tentacle. Fuck that. As long as you're gonna give me a really nice story and you're gonna present it in a way that it's non-invasive, right? I'm not here to be schooled. One World Under Doom, I think the first couple of issues did it quite nicely, where they presented Doom in a different way, and they've showed that Doom's plan is not bad. Where we have Thor actually being like, guys, like, what do you have towards this Doom guy, right? Like, there's a peace on the world, and I can now go and drink ale, haha, right? And I honestly think that this is another event that they might fumble, and they may not actually deliver. Because everyone who read the Endgame #1, like the issue, right, Ultimate Endgame, is pissed. I mean, I was pissed as well. I read it and I was like, what the fuck is going on? It's just randomness after randomness after randomness, right? But I at the same time, the fact that they had to go and cut it short, I'm like, come on, just leave the Ultimate Universe, right? Hickman, give it to someone else, because this is the best thing that you have right now in Marvel. But alright, they're ending it. They are trying to put it great. But when they tell me that this is going to be better story than Avengers Disassembled, that was in 2004, right? I don't believe them. I honestly don't believe them. I reread Disassembled, last year? And there were some things that were edgy at the time that I think right now would not fly at all. That currently you would go and be like, you can't do that. In Marvel, especially. And this is something that kind of pisses me off, because I want to see certain things, right? Like, if something has to be life-altering for the character, right? Like, we want to put them through trauma. Fuck it, let's do it. Let's go hard. I mean, look at Bucky Barnes, right? Tortured, like, shot mentally. Great redemption arc, still tormented, right, by his past. But there was this, like, hardcore stuff that I don't believe may happen here. I think the closest we've got is, like, in the Wolverine #9 or 10, where we had, when he thought he was fighting his mother, right? But actually that was just a creation by one of the villains. Again, forgot his name, right? Forgettable villain that is just creating, like, mental image of a certain thing, that so you think that you're fighting it, right? Again, cool idea, but it wasn't done well, especially if at the same time you have, like, Nightwing stuff in DC that has exactly the same thing, but with years of build-up, right? I think, like, 10 issues of build-up towards that Then you have this massive thing where they fight. There's this, whole Christian, and out of that you have brand new Nightwing with superpowers. Cool. Of course, not this one, but a different one. Okay, and you've there were stakes. Here there wasn't, and I don't think we will see that as well. I honestly think the last good event, and I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for that, I know, was War of the Realms. Where, okay, crap ton of tie-ins, a bit stretched, and if you're reading just a trade of that without tie-ins, you have no idea, you've lost the plot, you have like no idea what is going on. But if someone was collecting the tie-ins, or now you can buy trades for like really $5, right? Quite cheap. The story is fantastic. You have years of build-up towards it, right? Starting with Thor, but then you have slower, a bit of Daredevil, a bit of Spider-Man, right? You have Spider-Man. No, I'm talking about Null now. So, but you have the War of the Realms that really has a great build-up, and the payoff is there. And of course, at the end, you know they're all gonna win because those are superheroes. But you've seen that there were some consequences along the way, right? King in Black was promised to be a fantastic one, and I think it was lackluster. I think this was the first event that I've collected every single issue in floppies as it was coming out, and I hated it. There were just so many unnecessary tie-ins, like the Planet of Venoms or whatever that was. I think Thunderbolts back then, right? Not the ones with Bucky Barnes, but there were different ones. Spider-Man tie-in back then, like for that event, was quite shit. But event itself, there's 5 issues. Okay, I could have. I'm not gonna lie. When I was reading those 5 issues, I was like, yeah, I want to know what is going on. Still, the payoff was shit, right? And it had no impact. At least, the previous one. And this is what I'm talking about. I don't believe that this is gonna have long-lasting effect on the story, and it's sad. And in my head, again, this is another event that I'm probably just gonna go and read on their app, and later just buy a trade, because I've kind of noticed in myself now that because there are just so many events currently running in Marvel, I'm just waiting for trades to read physically, and I'm reading on the app because it's a lot cheaper. And this is a factor, right? Especially if you have the DC events running at the same time. And yeah, I don't believe that they can deliver on that event something of a magnitude of Absolute Batman, just let's say, right? Or of their own Ultimate Spider-Man #1, as they've done, or the Ultimates, or I don't believe so. I think they will just go back to the status quo, do nothing, and the life is going to continue. We're going to still have the shitty stories. They will forget about the boxes, and we're just going to go and move on, and that will be it, which is a shame, because I think that Ultimate Wolverine as a Winter Soldier deserves to be continued. I think the Ultimate Spider-Man, there are so many cool ideas out there. But why there were those ideas? Because the creators of those characters, or the writers I should say, were able to do what they want, right? Like, we have grown-up Peter Parker, he has fucking family. It's great. I wanted to see that. And then you go back to reading the actual Amazing Spider-Man and you go like, meh, what is that? But what are your thoughts about this event? Let me know in the comment section. I want to hear you guys. See you in the next video.